Man, what a night to be an Eagles fan. The Philadelphia Eagles didn't just win a football game. They walked into a storm and came out swinging like a team on a mission. This was more than just a bounce back. It was a full-on statement to the entire league. They marched into Minnesota, into one of the loudest and most hostile environments in football, and shut that place up with a gritty 28-22 victory. After 2 straight losses, people were starting to question this team's heart, their chemistry, even their quarterback. But last night, all that noise got buried under the weight of one of Jalen Hurts' most complete performances of his career. He looked calm, confident, and dangerous, the kind of quarterback who doesn't just play football, he commands it. Right from the coin toss, you could feel the difference. Philly won it and said, "Give us the ball." No hesitation, no waiting around to see what the Vikings had, just pure confidence. That opening drive? Perfection. 12 plays, 75 yards, chewing up nearly half the first quarter. It wasn't just about the points, it was about setting a tone. Every snap screamed, "We're done playing scared." And then Hurts drops an absolute missile to A.J. Brown from 37 yards out. That throw was beautiful, rolling out, buying time, and hitting his guy in stride. It wasn't just a touchdown, it was a message. The Eagles were back, and they weren't going to tiptoe through this one. Jalen Hurts was operating on another level. 19 completions on 23 passes, over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and a perfect passer rating. That's surgical precision. You could see it in his body language, steady eyes, confident posture, total control. Every third down, every pressure moment. He looked like the guy who took this team to the Super Bowl not long ago. This was the version of Hurts that every Philly fan wanted to see again. After a few weeks of frustration and criticism, he came out and reminded everyone exactly who he is. And let's be real, his receivers made it look unfair. Devonta Smith was out there looking like a cheat code. 9 catches, 183 yards, including that 79-yard bomb that felt like the roof blew off the stadium. The way he sold that double move was textbook, just left his defender spinning. Hurts saw it, trusted it, and let it fly. Then there's A.J. Brown, the enforcer, the guy who brings attitude and fire to every snap. For catches, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns. But it wasn't just the numbers, it was when he made those plays. Late in the fourth quarter, Vikings sending the house on a blitz, and instead of running the ball to play it safe, the Eagles go deep again. Hurts takes the hit, stands tall, and launches a bomb down the sideline to A.J., who burns his man with another perfect double move. That's guts. That's confidence. That's championship DNA. This one felt like more than just a bounce back. It felt like a reset button. The last couple of weeks had been ugly. The second half collapses, the missed reads, the talk shows piling on Hurts, saying he'd lost a step. Even he admitted it. But what separates the great ones from the rest is how they respond when everything starts going sideways. Hurts didn't fold. He didn't blame anyone. He went to work. And that's what you saw in Minnesota, a quarterback who refused to let his team spiral. The adjustments made by the coaching staff deserve some love, too. Putting Hurts under center more often changed everything. That one small tweak opened up the offense. It made the run game more believable. It helped disguise play action. And it gave Hurts a clearer picture of the field. When you're in shotgun all the time, you're reacting after the snap. But under center, you're reading before it even happens. That's what allowed him to pick apart Minnesota's defense with such precision. It's one of those little football details that casual fans might miss, but it made a massive difference. And even though Saquon Barkley didn't post huge numbers, he did exactly what the offense needed: balance. His presence alone forced the Vikings to stay honest. He hit the gaps when he had to, kept the chains moving, and gave Hurts just enough help to keep that defense guessing. It was the first time all year that the offense felt synchronized. The play calling had rhythm. The timing was crisp. The tempo was right. You could see that spark that's been missing since week 1. Now, defensively, it wasn't perfect. Minnesota actually outgained the Eagles in total yards. But when it came down to the red zone, Philly slammed the door. The Vikings went 1 for 5 inside the 20. That's insane. That's what good teams do. They bend, but they don't break. Every time Minnesota started to gain momentum, someone on that defense stepped up. The pick 6 by Jix Hunt. Massive. That play flipped the energy of the entire game. Carson Wentz, facing his old team, looked completely rattled. He never found his rhythm. He stared down his receivers, telegraphed passes, and the Eagles made him pay. That interception was a combination of great preparation and perfect execution. And can we talk about Jalen Carter for a second? The guy is an absolute wrecking ball. He was in the backfield constantly, blowing up plays before they even had a chance to develop. Then there's Moro Ojomo, who came up clutch with a sack that killed a promising drive. Josh Uche, another guy stepping in and delivering exactly when it mattered most. That's been the story of this defense all year. Not perfect, but opportunistic. They make the key plays at the key times, especially inside the red zone. What really stood out was how they went after Isaiah Rodgers. The Vikings hyped him up all week, calling him one of the best corners in the league, and the Eagles clearly took that personally. They targeted him 7 times, completed 5 of those passes, and racked up more than 150 yards and a touchdown on him alone. That's not luck. That's film study. That's coaching. That's execution. This game wasn't just about statistics. It was about pride. It was about a team that had been knocked down, questioned, and challenged, and how they answered. You could feel the energy shift from the very first possession. The swagger was back. The sideline had juice again. Hurts was commanding the huddle with authority. The offensive line, which had struggled the past few weeks, stood tall against one of the most aggressive blitzing defenses in the league. Sure, they gave up a few pressures, but they gave Hurts enough time to make magic happen. And you could tell from the way they attacked the Vikings early that this was personal. Going for it on 4th down twice on the first drive? That wasn't reckless. It was intentional. That was the team saying, "We're done playing scared. We're taking this game on our terms." That mentality spread across every snap. Every time Minnesota thought they had momentum, Philly punched back harder. Kevin Patullo's play calling was sharp, balanced, creative. He didn't overthink it, and he trusted his players. Mixing in deeper play-action looks, more pre-snap motion, and a rhythm that kept the Vikings guessing all night. The offense finally looked like it had an identity again. Hurts was decisive, Smith and Brown were lethal, and even the supporting cast stepped up when needed. By the time the 4th quarter rolled around, you could sense that killer instinct returning. The Eagles had that "we're not giving this away" look. Hurts was locked in, scanning, adjusting protections, reading the field like a veteran chess master. And when he let that final touchdown fly to A.J. Brown, you could almost feel the collective exhale from every fan watching. That was the dagger, the statement, the moment that said, "We're back." This wasn't just a win in the standings. It was a wake-up call to the rest of the NFC. The Eagles reminded everyone that when they're clicking, they're as dangerous as anyone in football. They've got the balance, the leadership, and the firepower to go toe-to-toe with any defense in the league. And with the Giants coming up next, there's no shortage of motivation. After the embarrassment a few weeks ago, you can bet this team is ready to make another statement. Jalen Hurts walking off the field and saying, "We ain't losing no more." That wasn't just talk. That was a promise. You can see it in his eyes, in the way the locker room rallies around him. This team believes again. They've found their rhythm. They've rediscovered their confidence. And if they keep playing with this kind of edge, the rest of the conference better start paying attention. You could tell from the very start that this version of the Eagles was different. There was an energy, a focus, a hunger that had been missing during those frustrating back-to-back losses. From the first snap, they weren't just playing to survive. They were playing to dominate. That opening drive told you everything about the mindset of this team. Going for it on 4th down, twice, before even crossing midfield, that's not just aggression. That's a declaration. That's a head coach saying, "We're setting the tone." And it worked. That first touchdown wasn't just about putting 7 points on the board. It was about breaking through all the hesitation and doubt that had clouded this offense the past few weeks. You could see how much the coaching adjustments changed the rhythm of this group. Kevin Patullo called one of his best games in recent memory. He leaned into the team's strengths while adding new wrinkles that kept Minnesota guessing. By putting Jalen Hurts under center more often, he gave the offense layers. It opened up play action, helped disguise motion, and made the Vikings hesitate just enough on defense. That's the difference between getting sacked and throwing a strike downfield. And Hurts looked completely in control, reading, reacting, and trusting his instincts again. You could see it in the timing of his passes, in the way he moved in the pocket, even in the small details, like how he manipulated safeties with his eyes before unleashing those deep shots. That 79-yard touchdown to Devonta Smith was the perfect example. For weeks, fans had been asking, Where's the deep ball? Where's that connection? Well, there it was in full flight. Hurts dropped back, saw the coverage, trusted Smith to win, and just let it rip. The timing was flawless, the chemistry undeniable. That's what happens when a quarterback and receiver are locked in together. And for Smith, it was personal. He's been consistent all year, but you could feel the fire in how he played, running precise routes, breaking tackles, demanding the ball. It wasn't just stats, it was dominance. Then there's A.J. Brown, who continues to prove why he's one of the toughest matchups in the entire league. His combination of size, strength, and speed just wears down defenders. Minnesota tried pressing him early, tried doubling him late, and nothing worked. That second touchdown he caught in the fourth quarter was pure willpower. Third down, heavy pressure, game on the line, and Hurts throws an absolute rope to Brown down the sideline. He takes the hit, secures the ball, and seals the win. That's big-time football. That's what stars do when it matters most. And while the passing game stole the spotlight, the offensive line quietly had one of its better performances of the season. Facing a Brian Flores defense that thrives on chaos, disguises, and pressure, they held their ground. Sure, Hurts had to make a few magic escapes, but for most of the night, he had time to operate. The line's communication was sharp. You could see the adjustments at the line of scrimmage, the double teams forming, the quick recognition of blitzes. They protected their quarterback and gave him the confidence to attack deep. That's the foundation of any elite offense, and the Eagles' line showed why it's still among the best in the league. Even the running game, while not explosive, served its purpose. Saquon Barkley ran hard, found gaps, and kept the defense honest. His ability to turn small gains into manageable downs helped sustain drives. That balance is what Philly had been missing. It's what allowed them to stay unpredictable, to keep the Vikings' defense from pinning their ears back. And every time the crowd started to get loud, every time Minnesota looked ready to shift momentum, the Eagles found a way to quiet them with a key play, whether it was a third down completion, a scramble by Hurts, or a clutch grab by Brown or Smith. Defensively, the story was all about resilience. It wasn't perfect, far from it, but it was gritty. The Vikings moved the ball between the 20s, but once they hit the red zone, the Eagles turned into a wall. 1 for 5. That's all Minnesota managed inside the 20. That's how you win games in this league. It's not about shutting everyone out. It's about making the big stops when it counts. And Philly did that again and again. Carson Wentz, facing his former team, looked completely rattled. His mechanics were off, his decisions were late, and his confidence evaporated after that pick six. That interception by Jix Hunt was a masterpiece of disguise. The defense showed blitz, baited Wentz into thinking he had an open window, and then dropped into coverage right as he threw it. Hunt read it perfectly, jumped the route, and took it to the house. That play flipped the script of the entire game. The energy on the sideline exploded after that moment. You could feel the team feeding off it, believing again, remembering who they are. FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments, and let's talk birds. Shockwaves are rippling through the NFL this morning as whispers from inside sources have turned into a full-blown frenzy. The Philadelphia Eagles are rumored to have secured not one, but two of the league's brightest stars. The news, initially bubbling as insider chatter, has now been confirmed by ESPN, sending fans and pundits alike into a whirlwind of speculation. While the franchise has been tight-lipped, the buzz around Lincoln Financial Field is impossible to ignore. Could this mark the start of a new era for the Eagles? For months, rumors have swirled about Philadelphia's ambitions in the offseason, with insiders hinting at aggressive moves to bolster the roster. Analysts have speculated endlessly about potential free agent targets and blockbuster trades, but the identities of these two players have remained shrouded in mystery. Some reports suggest they are marquee names with reputations that precede them, athletes capable of changing the trajectory of a season almost single-handedly. If the whispers are true, the Eagles front office has just delivered a coup that could shift the balance of power in the NFC. Fans across social media are already ablaze with theories, dissecting every hint from team insiders and ex-players. Jerseys are being prepped, memes are circulating, and sports talk shows are barely able to contain their excitement. While official announcements are expected later today, The mere confirmation by ESPN has sparked a frenzy of speculation about the impact on the Eagles' lineup, chemistry, and chances for a deep playoff run. Could this be the move that finally silences critics who have questioned Philadelphia's aggressiveness in recent seasons? League insiders caution that until official press conferences occur, details remain murky. But if the rumor mill is even half right, the Eagles may be on the cusp of a historic reshaping. The city of Philadelphia is no stranger to high expectations, and with the prospect of two superstars joining their ranks, anticipation is reaching a fever pitch. One thing is certain, the NFL world will be watching every development closely, eager to see if this electrifying speculation becomes reality. For now, Eagles fans can revel in the excitement of the unknown, imagining the possibilities and dreaming of glory. If these reports hold true, the team's next chapter promises to be nothing short of sensational. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.